So am I audible and my presentation is visible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you, everyone. Within next 5 minutes, I will try to close my presentation with the major focus on nitrogen in reference to the wheat, because wheat is the major crop in Pakistan and almost consume almost 50% of the nitrogenous fertilizer. So Pakistan is ranked as 8th in the ranking according to the Global Climate Risk Index, and we have improved it from the 5th position a decade back. And fertilizer consumption in Pakistan has rapidly increased almost 67-fold. And out of this, 3/4 is nitrogenous fertilizer. And total input to crop land in Pakistan has also experienced 10-fold increase. And that means it is started from 30 kg per hectare per year. And now it is around 222 kg up to, that is in this range. So a major portion of the N fertilizer is applied to cereal crops, that is almost 60%, out of which 2 major crops, there are cereals, that is rice and wheat, they consume almost 92% alone, these 2 crops. So when we talk about the food security in Pakistan, it is taken as a wheat security. So in this comparison, you can see Pakistan versus UK, that one major comparison is per capita GDP that has declined further over the last 3 years compared to the previous 3 years. And in Pakistan, we see that major calorific requirement of the farms, almost more than 50% is taken through the wheat consumed, especially by the rural poor people compared to the developed world. So that is the reason we need to consider wheat versus fertilizer consumption in our country. So another point, that is like district-wise wheat crop area and district-wise wheat yield. So we would see that major focus of the wheat area that is lies in Punjab. That is thousands of acres per district. That is by the color you can see. And for the yield comparison, we can see the better yields are observed in case of Punjab and Sindh compared to the other parts of the country. So when we see if there is possibility of any expansion in the wheat acreage across Punjab, so here we see that only there are the desert areas around like Laya, Bhakkar and Bahawalpur region, or there is some space in the Barani belt arid area that is conditional to availability of rains or some irrigation water. Otherwise, there is no chance of expansion of any area in case of wheat, especially in Punjab. So when we see the comparative fertilizer consumption, so wheat crop alone consumes almost half of the fertilizer in Pakistan compared to its area that is around 40%. So it means that we need to focus a lot on nitrogen use efficiency in case of wheat crop. So other inputs for nitrogen in case of our crops that through which a farmer can get nitrogen, that is organic matter if applied to the farmer, and then biological nitrogen fixation, and the third one, that is atmospheric nitrogen fixation. So the fourth factor would definitely be the fertilizer input, through which majority of the nitrogen input is contributed towards crops in our country. So when we compare the fertilizer end use efficiency, so we see that Pakistan has mean cereal yield almost lowest compared to other members of Asia and also with some developed world. But when we see the last on the right side 2 column, that nitrogen partial factor productivity, or the other that grain, kg grain N per kg of fertilizer, and we are the lowest in the country. This has also been highlighted by Dr. Tariq and others. So this means we need to focus on fertilizer products that are like enhanced and efficiency fertilizer products. So we need to invest a lot in slow release N fertilizer or enhanced efficiency, other coated fertilizer products that could meet farmers' requirement, and also need to see that whether we can meet regulatory requirement of this country, especially after Colombo Declaration, where we have to have our nitrogen waste by 2030. So major reason for loss of nitrogen in our soils, and that is blamed by climate, especially if we see that most of the soils are less than 1% in organic matter, only few parts in the upper Pakistan towards the northern Pakistan side, those are only green. Otherwise, most of the country is, everyone can see that is in the lowest range of organic matter. So that is the reason nitrogen fertilizer use efficiency does not improve a lot in this country compared to the other countries. So this graph has already been explained by Dr. Tarakji, that the yellow line, if you see, we see that N harvested by crops, that is increasing every year. So it does not mean that crops are not responsive to the nitrogen. They are responsive, and every year the graph is improving. But at the same time, when we see the red dotted line, that total input, that is also increasing. So why there is a gap that is widening compared to the, when we compare this nitrogen harvested by crop compared to the nitrogen input? The major reason behind this factor, when discussed by the nitrogen use efficiency experts panel, they said that it is the major reason behind this is the less use of phosphatic input as a fertilizer in this country. So that is not because they complement end use efficiency. So that is the major reason we are behind in end use efficiency. So the second last slide, that work to be done in Pakistan, that is screening of wheat varieties for their end use efficiency. I am sure that this is also being carried out, already being carried out on the South Asia Nitrogen Hub, but this should be made a precondition for registration of a variety, of wheat variety, any new developing variety. Then long-term fertility experiments to record NUE data, like in case of our neighboring India, they have many long-term fertilizer trials, but in Pakistan, there is nothing. So, and introduction of enhanced efficiency fertilizer in local market, and the studies like N15 labeled isotopic studies to confirm end use efficiency in case there is a confirmation needed, like if following any specific fertilizer does respond efficiently or not, or any other take-home message from this webinar. Thank you so much. If there is any question, we would have a session at the end of this presentation.